Welcome back, Commanders, to another video, and today we're going to be kind of doing a summary of the brand new level 4 city agency, which is a mixture of naval and land battles. We're going to kind of sort of talk about the end result, how they implemented the actual naval update itself. We're going to kind of talk and summarize everything, and I thought no better way to do that than to talk and show you guys a discussion that I had with a fellow Warpath commander. Obviously, there is absolutely zero hate between Steel or anything. His name's Steel Rhino here, who I was talking to. He's obviously just a commander trying to play the game, same as myself, and trying to get him to see a different side of the story. But of course, I do understand his side of the story too. So this is purely just a debate, which is obviously is very healthy for the game to, you know, see other people's sort of reactions and understanding to how they perceive things. So it started off with him talking about something up here, and we basically were just responding to each other back and forth in a bit, but then we got into these bullet points, and I thought these bullet points are a really strong way to kind of help you guys understand how people are kind of perceiving things, right? So starting off, he mentioned about lack of rewards or stuff, and I was a little bit confused because in Agency you actually get the most rewards we've ever seen out of a level 4, which is kind of crazy to me that, you know, and I was just a bit shocked. So he went on to say that one, I don't care about the naval power. My ungodly expensive air units should be able to interact. Now what he means by that is he reckons that the aircraft should be able to, like, the bombers should be able to bomb the ships and stuff like that, which again, I understand that, but my response is here, and we'll go through my response and kind of understand it shortly. In fact, we'll do it one by one. So obviously he mentioned that, you know, his air should interact with the ground, and I said they shouldn't interact yet, as everyone has much higher air, and even your air units will be much better than any ship, and there should and will be a grace period to allow them to interact. Now what I mean by this is it doesn't matter how, you know, strong a ground unit is. If let's just say you got the strongest ground unit we've ever seen on the ground right now, like the big wows who have got everything maxed out, okay, that is still not going to be as good as someone's free-to-play bomber, and would get absolutely shredded by not even an amazingly strong bomber, just a decently sized average bomber. So I don't see where he's coming from. I'm not sure why he would want them to interact, because it just wouldn't be very fair in any way, shape or form. Now that's just my personal opinion. Maybe you guys generally do think that they should. The second thing he says, unless you jump from sea to land or vice versa, you have to untrain and then retrain units. He did mention in a later one, because we went back to do the number, like we re-spoke about things, we went over and over it, and he said that he just found out about that, so that is now invalid, which, you know, some people take, not some people, but in general, a lot of things. For example, this one, they didn't even mention it in the patch notes that they had fixed it. So at the start of the level 4, yes, this was a problem. So happy that they fixed that very fast, which is really, really good. The next thing, he said, walls are useless unless you have a grade 7 unit. Why? They don't care what level your ground units are. Walls are not adjusted only because of a level X ground unit. I responded that with number 3, saying ground and air units have been around since the beginning. And what I meant is since the beginning of upgrading your walls and stuff, okay? So maybe I should have explained that a little better. And things like researcher walls to upgrade if you already have this, but you'll never be able to kill a base if they allow full base HP. And that's correct. Imagine trying to kill someone with, you know, 3 billion base HP with a 9 mil ship. Doesn't make sense. So 100% it does need to be adjusted. And what he says here is air has absolutely not been around since the beginning. It was an added feature, just like naval was, and that's my fault. You know, I didn't explain it properly, so I did say here in the future one, I mean since the beginning of air, not the game. That's my bad. But what I was trying to explain is when air units got added, there was no super big walls. There was no, like, there was a little bit of tech for base HP, but nothing crazy, you know. Genuinely, I reckon when air got added, 700 mil was the highest roughly walls that you could add. I might be wrong there, I'm just guessing. It came out pretty early on. Air came out pretty early on. It's not like it took forever to come out. I think it was within the first year of the game releasing. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it was exactly a year, maybe it was a year and a half, but the point is, walls weren't crazy high. Like, now you can upgrade your walls. There's modern research. Modern research didn't exist when the planes first came out, I don't believe. All of this stuff was like a lot easier and simplified back then, whereas now we've got all of these extra things that give that extra base HP. So 100%, that's why they've changed this, and I 100% do think that it needs to be done. Again, back when we had grade 8 units, like right at the start of the game, when the game first came out, they didn't have any of that extra stuff, and that's why it wasn't actually restricted back then to, what grade your units are. So 100% not kind of understanding where he's coming from here, because in my general opinion, it didn't need it back in the day, but now with the new integration, it definitely needs it. Next one here is coupon drops are absolutely ridiculously low, especially for a main portion unit. It's technically not a main portion unit. I didn't technically explain that in my response here, but I said coupon drops are not the fastest, sure, but nor are they great for planes. You don't need 5 ships like you do with ground units. They are similar to planes in this situation, so they are rarer drops, but that's what's cool about restricted battlefields, is you can use reverse blueprints to get higher level units using pre-existing units that you've already got. And that's true. So that's how I got my 7.2 units so fast, is we was in a level 4 city just when they released the new ships, and I had some reverse coupons left, so I got 1 ship to 7.0, then I used the 2 free reverse engineering things to make 2 more 7s, which then led me with a 7.1. And then when I got to agency, I then made myself 2 7.1s of that unit to make a 7.2. So yes, 100%, it is a much slower process than getting ground units, but it's not that bad, especially, no one really complained about how low the air units are, because again, you don't have all 3, it's harder to get resources and stuff like that. It's a new unit, it's not something you need instantly that fast, okay? And to that response, guys, he mentioned you also don't need 5 aircraft, but even their drops are faster than naval. Why is that? So obviously I showed him the statistics that naval is 0.16%, whereas ships are actually 0.3%. You have double the chance of getting ships than what you do getting planes when drawing in those batches. So yeah, I don't think it's that slow. I actually do think it's a decent speed, personally speaking, but I can understand, someone wants to get their new ship, and it does take a little bit longer than getting ground units. 100% agreed. The next thing here is resource collections is, again, a manual event, because you can't deploy to sea if you're on land, and vice versa. 100% agree with him. He's right here. It's very annoying that you can't do that, but they have announced that they are going to be changing it. If you are in the sea, it will only search for sea ones, and if you're on the ground, it will only search for ground ones. Now, this is absolutely amazing. Obviously, great. Hopefully, this will be included within the next update. Maybe not 100% that when it's going to be added, but they said it's coming very soon. So we can't complain. They're definitely working on and listening to the feedback from the community. The only other way they could have done it is just allow your collection trucks to change the same way your base changes when you go from ground to land, but they just want to make it so that you can only loot in the same area you're in, which is just as fine. So the next one here is number 6. The jump process here is almost debilitating. I definitely butchered that word. My brain can't word that one. For players, why even allow the jumps while making such a ridiculously long wait another additional cost? I can understand 100% why he believes this, because yes, you do need to have those additional jumps if you want to go from one section to another. And I mentioned to him here that you could jump almost anywhere around the map and do a short travel via truck without ever needing to use one of those special tokens, which is true. I literally got from A to the other side of the map, done a little truck, and I could get almost anywhere on the map without needing those special tokens. I always had 2 out of 2, 9 times out of 10, or 3 out of 3 after halfway when you unlock that extra one. And it was very rare that I ever used these special tokens. Now, the way that this works and the way I was able to do this is simply going into the red outer ring. You do not need a jump token to go anywhere in that outer ring. So as long as your allies are built somewhere within that outer ring, anywhere near their land, or technically in the sea, because the red outer ring is part of the sea area, all you need to do is jump to that red land. It's not going to cost you any special jumps, and then just do a little bit of trucking. Sure, it might take you about 5-10 minutes of trucking, but it's still much better. And even then, if you really want to be an extra bit lazy, you can truck into that next sort of section you're going to, and then just TP onto the land you're trying to approach if there's allied buildings there. Sure, it's going to cost you 2 TPs, but it's not going to cost you a special one. So I do think that the system they've got going on here is very good, because if you were allowed to just jump anywhere around the map 24/7, it would almost get very, very hard to win. You know, you'd actually like the winning team would have to try extra hard, because technically speaking, the losing team can just all jump in one place out of nowhere, and it's now, let's just say it's 1v1, it's now 1v4 if they really wanted it to be, which sure leaves the rest of the map empty, but I think it's definitely well thought out. And in my personal opinion, again, this is not going to be the opinion of everyone, I think that it's a really well maintained system. And again, there is ways around it. Just teleport to areas within that outer ring and do a little bit of trucking. I personally think there's no problem with that, but that's just me. Forcing alliances to unbreakable factions again restricts an alliance for the matter of all alliances in L4 for creating somewhat balanced teams, because we all know that Lilith definitely isn't able of correctly assigning balanced alliances to events on their own. Yeah, I can kind of see where he's coming from here. I'm only going to stop there. Okay, so that was just on number 7. So, with regards to that, yes, Lilith matchmaking system isn't the best, but I have recently released a video literally this week talking about the matchmaking system, so you can check the card out up above, or I'll leave it down in the description for you guys. But with regards to matchmaking, the thing is, they're technically unbreakable factions, but you can still remove the peace treaty if you really want to. But the thing is, and I mentioned to him in this response here, saying you can break peace treaties at any time, sure, not the faction, but this is up to you making the right choice at the start. So you have the ability to choose who the faction is, right? So technically speaking, it's still not down to Lilith. I mean, it's still down to you guys to make the right decision. But I personally think this also means less betrayals this way. And what I mean by that, guys, is I genuinely believe that, let's just say you're stuck with a group of alliances, right? There is no reason to betray and go for the other team, because no matter, even if you do that, your faction's not going to get the rewards. So if you help the enemy, you're losing out yourself. So, I mean, sure, there might be some people, and there probably are a lot of alliances out there that will happily sacrifice all of their rewards to spite their allies, but to me, it's a weird notion. Not many people will do it, and I'm sure that there'll be a lot less backstabbing, because it's not as easy to just break peace treaty, sign a new one, now they help you get rewards, right? Whereas now it's you have to fight for those rewards, otherwise you get nothing. So I do believe that, you know, making the right decision at the start to choose your alliances, and just overall, I think that the fact that there is going to be less betrayals in this aspect, because people will realize that, well, if I do betray this faction and help the enemy, I'm going to get nothing. And bearing in mind, this is one of the L4s that give the most rewards I've ever seen. I think that it would be crazy of you to sort of, you know, even think about contemplating doing that. But we sort of had this back and forth a couple of times talking about all the different things. And 100%, I mean, I understand where this gentleman's coming from. Again, please, obviously, there is absolutely zero hate between me and Still. I've only ever spoken to Still in this regards. I've never spoke to him outside of this. So thank you, Still. Honestly, thank you for the debate. It's really nice to see the differences between what people are feeling and that. I mean, even here, he literally says he feels cheated, both work-wise and monetary-wise. And I'm not sure why that he does feel so defeated, because, like, if we don't add new things to the game, you're going to get bored eventually anyway. So it's nice to bring in this new level of, you know, things to do. And I feel like it's one of those things that it's not like they're never going to interact. The integration will come where you can interact with all your different ships at the same time. I understand that, you know, it's something new. A lot of human beings in general don't like change. I'm one of them. I'm not a fan of change. But I feel like this isn't necessarily a change. It's just more of an addition to try and improve the game and give us new things. And I feel like if you genuinely think about other updates they brought out in the past, the Sky Bombers, we won't talk about that, don't worry guys. Things that they've made in the past that are just terrible, this isn't one of them. I feel like they genuinely have put in good work. They've done great balance, honestly, kind of great balancing if you think about the ships, how they work. Yes, the Armor Destroyer is very strong, but if you have, you know, someone with similar power or something like that, that has, you know, another decent officer and a decent, say, like a guided missile destroyer or something that takes on like an anti-aircraft, you can kill them really quickly. So it is down to a balancing thing. I think the ships are balanced pretty well. Like everything has its own little things. Same to sort of ground, but this feels more balanced if I'm personally honest with you. But again, I've not used every single ship. I've only used my ship, so I can't really talk about everything. But I've seen most ships in action, and they do generally seem pretty well balanced and nice to use. I generally think that Lilith have done a great job with this update. That's just my personal opinion. I understand that not everyone's going to have that opinion. I just want to help others understand, or not understand, but see the other side of the story where, like, they have tried, and I generally think they've done pretty well compared to other things in the past. This has turned out pretty well. So thank you all for tuning in today. This is definitely a different style video. We've never done something where we're just sitting here looking at Discord before. So thank you so much to anyone who's still here. If you are still here, comment down below whether or not you think the naval was a good thing or a bad thing. If you're happy about it, please give me your thoughts. I really do want to, you know, find out how everyone else is feeling. As always, guys, I appreciate each and every single one of you. I hope you have an absolutely amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next video, which should be an update video. Goodbye, guys.